I'm Paul.
And I'm Kenny. And this is EWPK.
You know what? We actually have a house band.
We do.
Yeah.
I
And
knew.
they have arguably one of the great names of all time, which is Jane Blonde and the Goldfingers. And
Awesome.
you know what? When we have a treat today because we have the band leader, Natalie Gotts, with us, and we're going to bring her on before they play. And let's talk to her a little bit and see what this is all about. Hey, Natalie.
Hey.
How you doing?
I'm great, thank you. How about you?
Really good. Really good.
Very
I
great.
mean, we're having a good time. You know, we got all kinds of stuff lining up now for the show.
Yeah.
Um,
We're glad you're here.
You know, yeah. You know what? It's nice to have somebody with a cheerful face to really cheer me and Kenny's grumpiness.
Break us up.
Yeah. Thank God. Thank you. So look, I think because this is the pilot, this is a good time to start talking a little bit about the band. And why don't you tell us a little bit about Jane Blonde and Goldfingers, the history? Also, even though I actually know the answer to this, how you met us, and we'll go from there because I really can't wait to hear you guys play.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, we were a band before the pandemic, and then obviously the pandemic just killed all gigs, killed all live music, which was really sad, and not to mention difficult for people who rely on the income. So to keep ourselves amused, we decided to make videos. We couldn't get together even to rehearse, but we could make videos. So we recorded the audios and the videos from different parts of the world at the beginning, actually, of the pandemic. We had the drummer was in France. One of the guitarists was in the Netherlands. The rest of us are in the Bay Area, but the lead guitarist is in San Jose. Synth player is in Santa Rosa. So we were working with green screens quite effectively. There are some stories about how one of the videos that we made, Ian, bass player, and I were actually genuinely on a beach, but no one else was. And it was a sunny day, so we had to add shadows afterwards, and shadows are meant to move, so that they're just cascade of problems that came from that was a learning experience.
Well, I know.
And then the reason we met you was because of that fabulous experience of BYOB, just getting bands in tech companies able to do something with a mission. That was great.
Yeah, well, that for those of you who are listening and who don't know what that was, that stood for Bring Your Own Band, and it was a tech company band competition in 2020, and it was fabulous. Really, we had 10 bands participate, 30 videos were submitted. We had a global popular vote. We had a judge's vote. Kenny, you were a judge on that, and very very detailed judge, if I remember correctly. You gave a lot of feedback on this stuff, and if I remember, you guys won for the most creative video. I think you had this mashup between The Wall and Staying Alive that was off the charts. It was just, well, actually, it's probably a bad term when you're talking about a band saying off the charts. You just realized
you want to be on.
Saying on the charts, right?
Yeah.
You are on the charts, right? And so what are you guys going to play for us tonight?
We're going to do Uptown Funk, a song that seems to appeal to all ages. Everyone seems to know it. Love this song.
All right. Great. Well, Natalie, thank you so much for being here. And let's get to Jane Blonde and the Goldfingers in Uptown Funk.
hit you hallelujah. Girls hit you hallelujah. Cause Uptown Funk don't give it to ya. Cause Uptown Funk don't give it to ya. Cause Uptown Funk don't give it to ya. Saturday night we in the spot. Don't believe me, just watch. Come on. Don't believe me, just watch. 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 Hey, 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 hey. Stop. Wait a minute. Fill my cup, put some liquor in it. Take a sip, sign a check. Julio, grab the stretch. Right to Harlem, Hollywood, Jackson, Mississippi. If we show up, we're gonna show out. Smoother than a fresh jar Skippy. I'm too hot, hot damn. For the police and the fireman. I'm too hot, hot damn. Make a dragon wanna retire, man. I'm too hot, hot damn. Say my name, you know who I am. I'm too hot, hot damn. And my bam, 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 money, break it down. Girls hit you, hallelujah. Girls hit you, hallelujah. Girls hit you, hallelujah. Cause Uptown Funk gon' give it to ya. Cause Uptown Funk gon' give it to ya. Cause Uptown Funk gon' give it to ya. Saturday night we in the spot. Don't believe me, just watch. Come on. Don't believe me, just watch. 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 Hey, 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 hey. Before we leave, wanna tell you a little something. Uptown, funk you up. 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 Come on, dance, jump on it. If you're sexy, then flaunt it. If you're freaky, then own it. Don't brag about it, just show me. Come on, dance, jump on it. If you're sexy, then flaunt it. Well, it's Saturday night, we in the spot. Don't believe me, just watch. Come on. Don't believe me, just watch. 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 Hey, hey, hey,
Hey, Paul. What's up? What's up with you? I mean, it's just great to be here. I'm so
I don't
thrilled.
know. I'm excited, but what the hell are we going to talk about? We're supposed to do a dialogue.
I know. What are we going to talk about? In fact, what maybe for the viewers here, it would be good to talk a little bit about what we're doing. What is
Viewers,
engaged?
that would be good for us.
Do we have viewers?
Well, no, we definitely don't. Not yet. We will,
No.
however.
Yeah.
But
What
yeah,
are we
I
doing?
mean,
Like, what's this show
hey,
about?
well, let's try to figure something out quick.
I'd like to
because
know.
we got to run this segment right now, right? So hopefully we'll figure it out before this is over. Well, look, I mean, I guess we should probably explain the show. I mean, normally you and I will be talking about stuff going on out
Right.
there that is interesting, but you know what? This is a pilot episode. It's raw. We probably will make 100 corrections based on massive amounts of viewer input, both enraged and friendly. Over the next few weeks to months, we're going to be launching the full show in September as part of Playaz Productions Network. And so by that time, we'll be a little smoother. But given what we're trying to do, I guess the best way to talk about it is we got what? 3 segments rather. Well, 4, because what?
Or really,
We got a band, and you just heard that band coming in.
we have a band.
And that means another shout out to Jane Blonde and the Goldfingers for Uptown Funk, which, by the way, tends to be one of my favorite songs. I just love that. And we have a band. We have Best of All, you and me, right? And we have you and me in this first segment, What's Up, which is where we dialogue. And we will just back and forth about whatever the hell.
I mean, this is typically what we do anyway, you and me, and we're just letting other people join in to hear it.
And I guess the difference will be between this particular version and later. In later versions, you will hear us talking about and you will see us drinking our favorite spirits along with the dialogue that continues after we tell you about what the hell we are quaffing. That will be,
which means the later parts of the show might be more interesting,
or it might not even happen,
or might not even happen.
Right, might be in the middle of naps.
And we're gonna have some cool people on, right?
Oh yeah, well, I mean, for example, we got what do we got? We got segment 2, which is Who's Up, and this week we've just got the coolest CEO I know. And I got to tell you something. We'll obviously tell you more about him when we get to the interview, but Sridhar Vembu is arguably the most service-focused, empathetic CEOs I have ever known in my entire life. Yeah. And he runs a major, significant company called Zoho. And why don't you tell us about Which Way Is Up, which is the third and final segment of the show?
So Which Way Is Up is where we have it's actually fun because we get just to pick anybody we want to come and bless us and join us in conversation. And for this episode, we have the world famous chef du jour, Food Network, San Francisco restaurateur, Tyler Florence. We're so excited.
I got to tell you, every time I mentioned his name to anybody, I got, yeah, every single time. It was hilarious. I could literally elicit screams like the Beatles, right? It was really funny.
Incredible.
Well,
we bonded. I bonded with Tyler years ago. I don't even remember how our worlds came together, but he was a BlackBerry. He was very passionate about his BlackBerry and very loyal, as was I. And I think
only 2 in the world.
I think so. We love the tactile. What can we say? We like haptics.
The keyboard.
I have stories about that I can share later. But then I got to know him and I got to work with him at the Warriors when I ran marketing there, and he just opened a new restaurant in Thrive City right outside Chase Center in San Francisco, among other restaurants and other things that he's doing. So it's for sure going to be an incredible time with him. He has wonderful stories and is a great storyteller also. So,
well, that kind of reflects what the segment's about too. I mean, you'll know kind of what we're doing by the intro to the segment. We literally have 6 different intros, and the music that the intro provides you with will tell you the mood of that segment. Yeah. And look, I mean, I think Brian Solis, who I'm sure many of you out there have heard of, Brian Solis kind of set the standard for this show, really. when I was talking to him about how the show should, what did he think the show should be presented as, and how do you think it would work, and so on, he said, look, this is a show where people should be watching in the evening, drinking a glass of wine and chilling. And that is literally what we want to do, other than might be slightly harder stuff we're drinking. But if you want to drink a glass of wine out there, you're welcome to drink. Although, please, while you're watching the show, even though, it's not live, but it is a recorded show, so we're going to be straight with you there. Put in the comments area what you're actually drinking, so we can take a look at it. And someday we may even contact you and have you on the show to drink with us.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We'd love to hear what you're drinking.
Yeah. So, I mean, then, and those 3 segments make for a pleasant evening, and hopefully you'll learn something, enjoy your time with us. And again, look, it's a pilot. It's going to be a little ragged right now, but by the fall, when we launch, and that will be, as the announcement this morning mentioned, that will be September 19th is launch date for Playaz Productions Networks, and 5 shows, that including this one, that will be dropping with it. For more details, we'll have a link in the show notes where you can go and learn about it.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
I think what we're striving, Paul, for is, that we'd be thrilled if you learned something, but we really just want you to have a good time. And
Yeah.
I can guarantee you, with the kind of folks that we're going to have, even if, I mean, besides us, but even if you didn't have a good time with us, the kinds of folks we're going to have and the way we're going to bring them together is going to be really, really fun. We're going to pull from all different walks of life, doing a whole bunch of different things. And we've already got some really phenomenal people besides the 2 we mentioned lined up. And we're excited about having this time with them. And we're even more excited about the opportunity to share that with you. So, and if there's someone you want on the show, let us know, because we'll get them. We'll harass them until they come on.
So we'll either get them or you won't see the show anymore because we've been jailed. Right. So one or the other. But
come on, we're Jewish. We're good at harassing, Paul.
That's right. And we're willing to take the risk of being jailed for you guys.
That's right.
That for commitment.
That's right. So if you see just one of us at some point,
right,
we'll be doing a fund me campaign to get Paul out.
Bail. Yeah. I've when I was young, I experienced many arrests as a radical student. But luckily, here I am. So clearly, I didn't have to worry about anything that lasted. So I was good.
Those are some pretty incredible stories, though, Paul.
And I'm sure over time we'll be telling them. Right. I mean, the other thing you'll see in future shows is more visuals too. Just in terms of, we'll be bringing up things on screen for you to take a look at. We're right now, you know what? We're playing as well with this show and the format and everything else. So we're learning as we go, and I think we'd like you to, help us learn what we need to learn so that the show becomes, to Kenny's point, just simply enjoyable for you. And by the way, if you're drinking wine, make it a good one.
Yeah, make it a good one, because it'll be worth it. And, Paul, even during this section, I mean, we can talk about some news that's going on now, but we also, since you are also a tech gadget guy, as I am, we could share unique gadgets or things that we got, or things that are interesting, or people send us, because certainly between your network and my network, and I mean, we haven't shared much about ourselves, but we do like cool tech.
Yeah.
And there's something, especially tech for me, especially tech that collapses distance between people. So bring people closer together. That's the stuff that really either physically or emotionally or sociologically, whatever that is. But then there's a lot of other really cool tech that's just fun to have.
Yeah. You know what? I am hoping that all these gear companies see us and say, oh, let's send you stuff. It never happens. I mean, when I was doing columns for ZDNet, I'd get offers for consumer tech all the time, but I couldn't in any good conscience take them
Yeah, right.
because I didn't cover that. Yeah, I didn't cover that. I covered, B2B and enterprise and that kind of, and big platforms and things like that. Not what was the coolest gadget. And they had some pretty cool stuff that I had to turn down, but now I can do that. I can
Right.
take it and
So
it'll
send
show it.
away.
Send it. Me and Kenny would love to see some of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah,
we'll
we
see how
will,
it goes. Well, let me ask you a question. So, do we have anything you want to talk about today?
Well, I don't know. There's a lot of cool, kind of interesting stuff. I wouldn't say cool, interesting stuff that's going on right now. I mean, I am fascinated by the NFT space, and also, we're seeing, look, I have a brother, and we did some crazy things when we were young. And I don't know, mostly were legal, I would imagine, but you heard about these brothers that that just got arrested for insider trading, cryptocurrency insider trading. I mean, that is crazy. I mean, this is like, we're not. This is the interesting thing around this space is there's parts that are unregulated, right? Certainly Bitcoin decentralized, right? But now look what happens. These are identified as securities, and it's the same thing. And wire fraud, and insider trading, both they're being accused of. Can you believe that?
Wow.
I mean,
how does that even work with crypto?
I guess one of the guys worked at Coinbase, and he had access to information that when a cryptocurrency was going to be put on Coinbase and, in a sense, made public, the value goes up significantly when that happens. And so what he was doing is, because he had messaging about this, which is where the fraud comes in, the wire fraud, he would let his brother know, who would then go buy it before it got listed on Coinbase.
Wow.
And, which is exactly insider trading. And then it would be listed on Coinbase. It would go up in value. He would sell it, and they would make thousands of dollars.
I got to tell you, I'm very old school when it comes to currency. I'll call it money. I really am. It's like, for me, money has to have something backing it that actually has value.
Yeah.
And, we had the media, we had historically, we always had like the mediations, which were gold and silver and so on. But ultimately, let's say the original theory was economic productivity and the goods and services that it produced was what backed currency, the strength of your economy. So, and crypto has none of that, right? It's like, it's entirely speculative. Although, interestingly enough, to your point, now it's identified as security. It now has some of that, whether it wanted to or not. So the wild, wild west, not that wild. That said, you know how much money I have invested in crypto? Nothing, right? And I will continue to have nothing invested in it. But now that, on the other hand, I will tell you, crypto's existence existed or came into being because of blockchain, really.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of.
Yeah,
different
I am
stories.
too. I'm too. And it's amazing because Bill Gates came out with this announcement that blockchain and NFTs is I don't know, what did he call it? A fool's game or something like that. And it's interesting, and especially around NFTs, I would say this is the strategy of agree and redirect. I would agree with him in many cases, but I also believe there are cases, and this is not blockchain, because I absolutely believe in blockchain and what that can offer. But with NFTs, I think if you just look at it as a JPEG and as a collectible in these outrageous amounts, he's probably right.
Yep.
But there are opportunities where when you start to build utility into those NFTs, it changes the game. And I think the challenge is that brands, and I've talked to many of them, are wondering how to use NFTs, how to build utility, how to get into this game. And it's a struggle because it's really this kind of onboarding between Web 2.0 people, which is mostly everybody, and Web 3. And right now, unless you have a digital wallet, which is not the easiest thing to figure out how to do, you have a digital wallet, and also there's a reason to have a digital wallet, which I think is more important, right? It's going to be a while before people onboard over to Web3 because the early adopters are going to be the early adopters, and they're doing it now. I was just at NFT NYC, plenty of people there that are into the Web3 technologies, all have digital wallets. They all have NFTs. They know what they're doing. I don't know if they know what they're doing. They have the capability to actually activate this. But there's the rest of the world. It's going to take a little bit of time to figure out how to do that, just like early stages in the internet.
And I agree with you there too. I mean, I wonder. So, basically, the thing that strikes me really funny with NFTs, and this goes to the ridiculous side of it more than anything else, was I used to collect baseball cards like everyone else in the universe when I was a kid. And I even had basketball and football cards and things like that. And basically, what I'm now first of all, the markets for them are insane.
They are
the real cards. I mean, they're selling cards now for like
750,000. Steph Curry card.
Yes, Steph Curry 750,000. The guy's still alive, right? So, right, and then Honus Wagner, who's not alive, his baseball card sells for $3 million, right?
Yeah.
And Mickey Mantle rookie cards sell for $1 million, $1.5 million if they're in good shape. And there's of course a market around that where you get a grade of the quality of the card and blah blah blah, like coins, stamps, cards. They're all these gigantic markets. But I literally was thinking about, well, maybe I can take these cards, which I used to run in the spokes of my bicycle, and just take a picture of them and make them a JPEG and then sell that as an NFT, and I'll double the amount the card market's getting, right? Because remember the one, I mean, one of the most things that created the most skepticism about NFTs was honestly the first NFT that sold, if you remember, was that piece of, you can call it art, I suppose, for $63 million, which no one has ever duplicated since, meaning not just that art. I mean, that price was never duplicated since, but that was beyond ridiculous. And I'll be honest, the guy who paid $63 million is a complete sucker, whoever he is, right? So, he basically paid $63 million for a picture, right? But in a picture of art is what he paid $63 million for. There's real digital art. Don't get me wrong, but that was absurd. And I think that tainted the NFTs going forward. It certainly didn't help me in that one. Now I see some value to your point when you add utility to it, that it can work.
Like, think about this. So I love your baseball card example. I was talking to some NFL players about this. So if you had a card and it was a picture of a card and you could authenticate your signature on it, maybe it's 1 of 1 or 2 of 2 or whatever, or 1 of 2 or 1 of 3 or 1 of 50, and then you minted that, so it became an NFT with your signature on it. The difference I see is that these athletes, I think, are creators. I mean, Web3 is about the creator economy, right? And the whole thing about NFTs and smart contracts is that the creator continues to be a part of the revenue stream at every transaction. So here's Steph Curry. He signs his card. and gives it to someone. If he got paid for that, that's the most he's ever going to get paid. If he didn't, then he won't get any money, yet he will still continue to perform like a creator on the court, doing his nonprofit, all this stuff. His card will continue to raise in value as it does because he's won championships and whatever. It's sold the first time, it's sold the second time, the third time. He is making value for someone else, but is not benefiting from that value. The opportunity cost of not being part of that revenue is significant, especially, if it's going to his, he doesn't need money, but if it's going to his nonprofit.
Yeah.
So the opportunity is that these athletes or musicians or whatever that are maybe not normally considered creators now get to play a role in that because it's written into the smart contract at every transaction. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out and how that changes things. There's a lot of really cool companies. We might have some, one of these guys on, right? Who
That'd be awesome.
There's some good music guys and that are doing some really incredible things in this space, also to bring the fans closer to the players, or to the musicians, or movie stars or whatever. So it's going to be fascinating. So we got one side, we got all this kind of cool stuff that's happening in the NFTs, and we got guys that are stepping into known territories, thinking that crypto is not in a place that it could be, under surveillance and fall under typical security stuff, which is basically means that it includes an investment contract. So now it's a security. You just can't do that. Part of this, Paul, I think, is that there's like relatively young people in this space, right? I've worked with a lot of companies that are doing incredibly well, but there's really young people that that are still learning kind of how things work. And no question, the Securities and Exchange Commission is using this as a way to shoot a flare across the bow of what's going on. Same thing with the DOJ.
Those young people, especially let's say the older young people, are gonna 3-4 more years now, they're gonna pretty much be running the whole show. Right? They're on the way. And they're some of them are now young at 40. I mean, for me, that's like really young. I was already 32 when they were born, if that's true. And every time I think about that, I literally shudder. So if I was 32 when this guy was born and now he's 40, what does that make me? Well, 72, right? So
don't do the calculation.
Oh,
it's
no,
only
I don't. Doesn't bother me, really. I mean, look, I mean, we can go on forever about this stuff, but we're actually got Sridhar kind of waiting out there for us.
Oh, yeah. And you guys are in for an incredible treat. If you don't know about this man and his heart first, wallet second approach, and the depth at which he cares about individuals and service back to the community and the world, you're in for a treat, because he's quite phenomenal. And I'm excited for you to meet him.
Let's put it this way. I think we should probably virtually move on over, which oddly is going to look very much like, we have multiple sets that look exactly like this. Right. So we're going to move on over to the other set so we can go talk to Sridhar now. So we'll see you right after the introduction to Who's Up.
Yep. Look forward to it.
See you shortly. Kenny and I here will be talking to a business leader each time we do the show. And I'll tell you what, to start the show, to start this segment, for the first time ever guest, we have a total
fantastic
winner, killer, incredible human being, and a handsome guy too.
Yeah.
Before I tell you his name, I'm going to tell you a little about this guy. I've known him now, I would like to say 15, no more, close to 20 years. And in this entire time, I don't think I have ever met a executive who has a kinder heart, a more empathetic soul, and who is just a better person. I mean, he's a remarkable human being. And in the process of being that kind of remarkable human being, he's also managed to build an extraordinary company called Zoho. And I know a lot of you have heard of that. What was that?
Little hint there.
Yeah, well, yeah. By the way, there are other hints in this recording.
Subtle. Yeah.
Right. I'm not sure you'll ever figure it out. But so this man, Zoho company that is focused historically on small business, has gone upstream now to mid-market and is starting to tip into the enterprise, is one of the marvels of the 21st century as a company. I'm not going to tell you why now. Kenny and I will explore that in our discussion with him. But I'd like to introduce the wonderful and very handsome CEO of Zoho, Sridhar Vembu. Welcome, Sridhar.
Too kind.
All true, though.
Thank you for having me. It's an immense honor to be here.
I think we're honored too, to be honest with you. I mean, it's just like you're our first guest on this segment on the show ever.
Thank you.
Right? So I can't think of a better person to start with. I mean, I guess, look, one of the things that we're trying to do, and we always are trying to do with the show, is to really get to who the person is. And that's why the segment's called Who's Up, right? It's not just what the company is all about. It's really what kind of person are we dealing with. And so why don't you go tell people a little bit about where you came from and what
Let me just also say that, I've obviously been in the tech area most of my life and in the Bay Area. So certainly know about you, know about Zoho. Just humbled and thrilled that you're on with us. So thank you, Sridhar.
Thank you.
I'm so excited
Thank you,
about
Kenny.
this time with you.
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Kenny, for having me. It's an immense honor to be your very first guest on this show. And a little bit about myself, first of all, where I am right now. I'm in a remote village about 650 kilometers from Chennai. And Chennai is a big city, of course, the third or fourth largest city in India, but I'm about 400 miles from there. And it takes me about 12 hours, 10 to 12 hours, depending on the traffic, to get to Chennai from here.
Oh,
And most of the time, yeah. So, and that's how far I am. And it is a small village, about population about 1,500 people or so. Lots of land, lots of empty space around, and lots of kids too. So I run a school for them. So it's in fact, today I just spoke to our kids. I was giving our 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th graders a motivational speech today, what they should be in life. These are all rural kids. So that's my other activity other than running the company. So that's life now.
what did you tell them, by the way?
Yeah, I actually, in fact, I have to reflect my biases here. I told them that some of the kids were thinking about not taking math. I talked them out of it. I said they absolutely, mandatorily have to take math. They can drop some other subjects, but mathematics is absolutely essential, I told them. So, and I was giving them a 15-minute spiel on why mathematics is essential. I said, anything you do, you have to run a store, you have to run your farm, you have to run this or run a company, whatever, you have to have basic mathematical capability. So you are not dropping math. You can drop some other subject, but not math. That was my lecture.
What would you have them drop? I'm curious.
No, now you're getting me in trouble.
I might
Actually,
have
there
taken
was
the wrong
one-
direction.
Yeah, one of the kids was telling me she was interested in mass communication. And I told her, you do math first and that stuff later. So you do math first. You have to have basic mathematical capability, then you can take the mass communication. So that was what I said.
Okay. So
you did spend time in the Bay Area, though. You haven't always
Yeah.
been there, weren't you in the Bay
Yes.
Area for quite a
Yeah.
while? And I'm just so curious. After being here, what was it that made you decide to go back to India?
Yeah.
And even in a relatively kind of remote way, a
Yeah.
hamlet. Like,
Yeah. So it is. I lived in the Bay Area, but I'm also always. I mean, the company mostly was located in India, so I had to travel back and forth quite a bit. Every 3 months, religiously, I would spend 3 weeks in India. I would also visit these type of villages always. In the 3 weeks I'd spend maybe 2.5 weeks in Chennai. I'd spend 3 or 4 days in the village. So I always knew what was going on. And it was my intent, my dream all along to return. And return not just to, just return to live here, but also be a force for uh, local transformation. Because, I mean, these kids, just to give you an example, almost none of the kids have parents who have gone to college. Not just that, most of the kids have parents who have not finished high school. And some of the kids have parents who are not literate yet. So that's the gradation here. That's the kind of thing. And this is one typical village. And India has maybe 600,000 such villages. This would be very typical. This is not unusual in any way. In fact, this might on average be richer than about 70-80% of Indian villages. Might be in the top 20% in terms of wealth, but that's not saying much. So that's what we are dealing with. I am aware of this problem. Remember, we are a country with 1.3 plus billion people. So, I mean, we can give you guys 300 million and still have a billion left. So that's how many people we got, right? In other words, we could double your population and still have like a billion people left. So that's a lot of people. And so this is the scale of what we are facing with. I grew up in India, right? I'm Indian, and I always retained my Indian citizenship for the reason that I felt that I have to do something for this scale of problems here that we have, and I'm an optimist too. A lot of these problems can be addressed with a mix of technology and policy. It has to be both. It's not just technology. It's not just policy. It has to be both, and building capabilities. So that is how I've always seen the company. So that's a in a way the company was built so that projects like what I'm doing becomes possible.
Yeah.
The company wasn't seen as a separate entity
I see.
apart from all this. So
So
Well,
you
you know,
had that vision. That's amazing. That is amazing.
when you first built Zoho, which is what, 26 years ago now?
yes, 26.
Yeah. I mean, I think I've known you guys, what, 21 or 22 of those 26
Yeah.
years.
Yeah,
Although I
yeah.
thought Raju was your only employee for about 4 of them. Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, but you came into view
Mhm.
around your CRM
Yeah.
application, and it was a high quality application. I think I want to say it was the first 5 seats were free, I think, and
Yes. Yeah.
and then it was only like $12 or something like that.
Yeah.
I was very inexpensive. At the same time, just really high quality. You focused strongly on small business at that time.
Mhm.
And what fascinated me, though, over time, what I began seeing was that you really were never actually, to your point, really fully a software company. You were
Yeah.
always, you were more in effect a service company, meaning in service of humanity, a service
Yeah.
company that produced software,
Yeah.
right? So that the way you built the company out over the years was remarkable, and we kept seeing increasing amounts as your revenue grew and you had the ability to do it, increasing amounts of focus on service and culture, and making
Yeah.
sure your culture was extraordinary for both your employees, your customers, your partners, and then expanded that culture more externally into the world in
Yeah.
general.
Yeah.
So that led to something that really fascinated me, about you guys, and this was a couple of years ago when you kind of named it, which was the idea. You had this idea of transnational localism. That's
Yeah.
what you called it.
Yeah.
And why don't you, why don't you sort of describe what that is? Because to me, it's transforming a company from really a software company into a service and infrastructure company, which is, and
Yeah.
the software would just be like an
A
integral
vehicle.
part of it, but that's it.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Can you
So
explain that?
yeah, this comes from I developed along the way. This is part of my background, right? I come from a background where we emphasize contentment and humility. Contentment, that's a key word. That is, no matter how much money, how rich you get, all that, you have to have a contented life. That's the most important part. And then there's humility that is emphasized. This is true in a lot of Asian cultures. It's very much true in our part of the world too. Both are important. And this also means, and what do you do when you succeed? What do you do when your business grows, right? And this, we have different answers to those questions. I mean, that's the where it comes from. And I started to look at this problem from an economic lens this way. I ask myself, why is this village poor? Why is this rural district around? It's about 1.5 million people. That's the district I'm in, and surrounding this village, about a 20, 30-mile radius, right? And why is that poor? I mean, what does it mean to be poor? And it comes from lack of balance. What we sell is primarily rice, vegetables, and stuff, agricultural stuff. What we buy will be tractors, cell phones, gas stoves, motorcycles, and the like. Manufactured goods, but what we sell is agricultural goods. And this is fundamentally unbalanced. These people are, that means, destined to be at the bottom if we don't solve this imbalance problem. And how do you create the balance? You have to create the skill sets so that people here can participate in the higher value added goods that they themselves demand. It's not just higher value added goods for export to some other part of the world. The tractors and the cell phones and the motorcycles and the gas stoves, all of that, they are demanded here. But what do we sell in return? We only sell agricultural products. And I had long thought about these problems, and we have, I felt that we could actually endow people with skills and capabilities. That's something that Zoho has always done. That is our Zoho University. Now we call it Zoho Schools of Learning initiative, and where we take in high school kids and we train them, we develop the skills from very basic. They may come in with no computer knowledge at all. Then we make them into software engineers and we employ them. So there's about 1,500 employees like that in Zoho right now. And this has been going on for about 18 years. That gave us the confidence that we could repeat this in a broader setting, in a rural setting, where we can create these skills, nurture the talent, and enable people to participate in the economy on better terms, and thereby achieving balance, better balance. So that is the whole idea. And that is the philosophy we call transnational localism. So it is localism, but it is also very participative, integrates with the world. It is not against the world. It is going with the world, but it is still localism. So that's the two parts.
Do you see any other companies acting in accordance with this belief? I mean, the concept of contentment, certainly in the Bay Area, doesn't seem to be one of the high bars that many companies are shooting for. Certainly in a leadership perspective, I don't hear that coming out of some of our biggest leaders. This may be why, I'd also be curious, as I know that you have not taken any venture capital and everything that you're doing. Like, I'm just curious, have you seen this in somewhere else? And how challenging is it to believe this and then to act in these areas where I just don't see it being held in high?
Well, if you, for example, look at Steve Jobs, he was a kind of a yogi, right?
Yeah.
In fact, he had, he had that that
He did.
thing about him, right? So, in many ways, he had that spirit of a yogi in him, which is why he was able to see opportunities, unusual things that other people would miss, right? So that was there. So I don't want to say that somehow we are unique or first in all this, but I'm going to say that the way this transnational localism, which is being rooted, that is the localism part, and being connected, which is the global, the transnational part. So it's rooted and connected. Both are important. Because if you are not connected, you're not learning. And if you are not rooted, none of the wealth matters. You have to be rooted for the prosperity to even make sense. So that's the rooted and connected part. The reason why we are able to do this is because the company was always built with certain of these values in mind. And first of all, I mean, we've been around, 26 years. We got founded about the same time as Yahoo and a little bit earlier than Google. And we are, of course, I want to emphasize that, right? I mean, I have a lot of gray hair to prove that too. Right? So, and typically in companies, that you don't last this long. You get tired, you sell, you exit, all of that. That happens, right? And the reason we are able to keep going is that the objective is not just wealth for its own sake. And in other words, I would always say, okay, if I exit this company, where would I go? I would be doing the same exact thing I'm doing now.
Yeah, right.
So, and I'm already doing those things that I would do after the exit. So let me continue doing it,
So, one of the things you did so well is you translated from India to North America, basically. I mean, which was, I think if I remember correctly, the initial effort was prior to transnational localism was Zoho University, right? And it worked really well. And then you went to, for example, I know because I read the articles from the local paper, McAllen, Texas, is one of the places that you actually did a big deal, and the town just loved the fact you actually started helping them not just build business but build infrastructure. I mean, just really get into it. Can you kind of discuss the translation, so to speak? I mean, because it's fascinating, because it's never simple to translate from country to country ever, right? Just because the cultures are always different. So how did you think about that, and how did you come across such successes as McAllen?
So cultures are different, countries are different, but people, human beings are the same. Our at a basic human level, our needs, our wants, our expectations are the same. And to me, that, if you look at McAllen, in some fundamental ways, it's not different from the rural region I'm in. Superficially, you will see a lot of differences, but at fundamental level, our people who work for us in McAllen are really, really hungry for an opportunity. They want someone to invest in their talent, the latent talent, and bring it out to the world. That's what we are doing, really. And that's what we've been doing in every place we are in. And we specifically chose McAllen because it's one of those, demographically rich places. A lot of kids are there, and without a sufficient opportunity, particularly in technology, particularly in the higher value added sectors of the economy. So, and that is that's how we selected it. And also, of course, I have to admit, part of it is hot and humid, like where we come from. So that it's hot and humid is what we do here, right? In this part of India.
I'm sorry, we can't invest in your town. Your temperature is only 70.
And the food is spicy and hot too.
Yeah.
Which is the same as here. As here.
God.
So all the things match, right?
I love it.
So that was the basis, and that frankly, because we have to have people from India go there, and people from there come to India, and hot and humid and hot and spicy food and all that. It's at least a couple of hurdles easier, right? So those were some of the reasons. But fundamentally, we look to invest in places where there is an affordable cost of living for our people, because we want our employees to put down roots, stay in an area, participate in the overall well-being of that area. That's important. And let's take the Bay Area as a contrast. Today, if you hire a young person in the Bay Area, even if you pay an extraordinary salary, they often cannot afford their own home. This is true in many of the major metro areas, but particularly true in the Bay Area. And this means that it's often, I mean, if you bring in a person from somewhere else and put them in the Bay Area, it's not clear that you're doing them a favor.
Yeah.
It would be better for the job to be where they can afford a home, afford to have a family, all of that. I mean, we know in the Bay Area, so many people well into their 30s, maybe 40, they're still waiting to start families because they really can't afford to.
That's right.
And this situation is not true in McAllen. Thank God. It's not true that a decent salary can afford you a home, afford you the basics of life. It is in that sense I meant that people are the same everywhere. If you look at our employees here, if you look at our employees in McAllen, they have the same basic fundamental needs. And as a company, I feel that well-being of that employee is critical to the well-being of our company and our community product.
That's incredible. Is that wind that we're hearing?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yes,
Tell
very windy
tell
here.
our viewers what's going on there.
Yeah. So this particular part, I mean, it's a kind of the southwestern corner of India here. I mean, if we look at the V, I'm somewhere near the bottom of the V, southwest corner. And I'm only about 60 miles from the very southern tip of India. So I drive about an hour and a half, 2 hours, I reach the southern tip. And here there's hills, there's a mountain range that goes nearby. So during monsoon season, it is a monsoon season right now, we call it the southwest monsoon. The monsoon is coming from the southwest, so it gets very windy. In fact, it's so windy sometimes I cannot even work from this place. I have to go to a completely sealed room. It's much harder to. Today it's not so windy, but you can still hear it.
Yeah.
It's about 2 months of the year these conditions persist. It's just part of how life is, and the homes here are built pretty much in most of India because of the climatic conditions. You want the air circulation. You don't want it sealed and shut. You almost never have central air conditioning in any of these homes. If you have air conditioning, it might be one room. In fact, in this house I am in, there's not even any air conditioning. And 99% of the time I don't need it. So just a ceiling fan is sufficient. So that's how I live here.
If I remember correctly, you told me a few months ago that you literally can sleep out among the stars on the roof.
Yes, I do.
Yeah,
and I do often. Not when it's windy. When the winds stop, which is about 80% of the time, I can go out and sleep among the stars. And just a couple of weeks ago, there was a beautiful Milky Way formation I could see. Just look up.
If I try to sleep on my roof, basically one of three things happens. The TV antenna falls on me, a black vulture lands on my chest, or I just fall off the roof because it's pointed, right? So that's pretty much it. I don't quite get the Milky Way, and sleeping under the stars does not work in Manassas, Virginia. And listen, in the last couple of minutes, I mean, look, for as long as I've known you, you've been so deeply vested and invested and pretty much nonstop in service in one way or the other. I think if I remember correctly, another point, you were feeding 40,000 people. I mean, it was just, you're always doing something for the good of others. What do you do for like kicking back and relaxing? And I know you love this work, but aside from this kind of work, when you're just sort of kicking back and trying not to do this kind of thing.
I do a lot of swimming. I do about a mile and a half of swim every day. About a mile and a half swim on a nearby lake here. It's a rural area that we have plenty of lakes and ponds, and I pick one and I swim back and forth. It's a good long swim. In fact, I just came off of a swim just before this call. I had about a 45 minute swim. Wow, it's about a mile, half a mile at least. Yeah. So that's what I do for my relaxation. I do some yoga. In fact, I can, I posted on Twitter, I can do a really good headstand now. I've been practicing and practicing. It took me about 3 months to master it.
Wow.
Now I can actually
3
stand up for
months.
about 3 months. And I can stand up, stand on my head for about 6 or 7 minutes now. So
Really?
That's my yeah.
Oh, you can do that, Paul, can't you?
Yeah, no, that's just my attitude on things. I just basically stand on my head, right? But I can't physically. I can't even get my hands down on the ground. I don't think at this point.
I posted a proof video on Twitter that
Okay,
I do
we
stand
will
up on
look
my head.
We'll put that in the show notes.
You know what? That's right. All right, you heard what Kenny said. We're going to have that video in the show notes.
Yeah.
So watch for it. So Sridhar, we're kind of out of time, but thank you, man. I mean, I love you and I appreciate everything you're doing for everybody. And I know I'll be talking and seeing you soon. In fact, actually, hopefully, I'll be seeing you. Hopefully, fingers crossed, in India somewhere toward the end of the year or early next year.
Yeah. You are, we planned this before the pandemic. I really want to see you here, Paul. Yeah.
So we will make this happen soon.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being our guest. And
so wonderful. You know what? I just have to say, I feel the world is better with you and your Zoho family and the schools. And I think, there's a lot of learning there that if people pay attention, can learn a lot in terms of business and structure and heart. So thank you for that, Sridhar.
Thank you, Kenny. Thank you, Paul.
All right, and we'll see you, audience, in a very short time in our next segment, which is called "Which Way Is Up," and we'll explain it then. See you shortly.
Good night.
Good night.
All right, this is one of my favorite parts of the show. It's called "Which Way Is Up." Right, Paul? That's what it's called.
Yeah, and one of the things we hope to come out of this is hopefully that way is up. If we come out wrong, we've got a problem.
Right. Let's head north. So the reason why this part of the show is so incredible is that we have a lot of flexibility as to who we bring in. Usually it's going to be someone really incredible in some sort of lifestyle, tech, unique space. It won't be like the rest of the show. This is going to be an individual always, each time we do this, that's going to bring something really special to the place. And typically someone that Paul and I have specifically picked out that we think you guys should know if you don't know about and would love. And that is true about today. I do think
I
Paul.
can guarantee that a lot of people know this guest.
Yeah, I think so. He is, maybe we should just introduce him and bring him on.
Sure.
He is a celebrity chef. You guys can try to guess as I suggested. Paul
with our subtle hints.
With our subtle hints. A celebrity chef, a unbelievable television personality, entrepreneur. He's a really incredible dad. He's a restaurateur. He's got many restaurants in the Bay Area. I believe he's also a Guinness Book of World Record holder, which we can talk about. And the guy makes a mean fried chicken and so much more. He's really a dear friend of mine. Let's bring him on, Tyler Florence.
Everybody, look at us.
Hey,
how you doing?
Here we are.
In the interest of literally a couple of dozen people I spoke to about your appearance, I'm going to send you their message.
That's universal. I can't see you guys.
That is great. And what a beautiful setting. I take it that's not a virtual background, huh?
Yeah, this is one of the app settings inside the studio
Yeah,
we're working right now. This is I'm sitting in a a kitchen right now. And this is my backyard. We're in Northern California. We're in Marin County, just on the other side of the Golden Gate Bridge. And I got a pool. It's nice.
That's fantastic. I think we were talking a little before the show that it's been a while since I've been over there, but I remember having dinner. I think we did a Warriors thing over there. Tyler has always been a part of the Warriors family. I ran marketing for the Warriors for years, and my focus is on experience. And of course, when I look to people who create experiences, Tyler is always at the top of that list because of everything he has done in his life, with kind of a desire to create incredible, an incredible feeling for people to be a part of that experience, whether it's in a restaurant or it's watching a show or whatever. And but we were over at his house, and I remember back then, your kids were just tiny, running around, vibrant, wonderful, interactive. How's everybody? How's the family? How's Tolan?
Everybody's great. And I remember that wonderful Warriors event. And that was really where all this started. So we have Miller and Lux, our new restaurant at the Chase Center, home of the 7-time world champion Golden State Warriors. And all because of you, my friend. Like, you and I met years and years ago. Must have been like 2012, 13. And then we just became friends. And then as a huge basketball fan, you and I connected over the Golden State Warriors, and we just became closer and closer with the expectation of creating really amazing elevated food service experiences at an arena. Like, what does that look and feel like? So we hosted the Warriors here, and I must have been like, was it 17 or 18? I can't remember. Was it 17?
No, I think it was earlier. I think it was earlier. I think it was 15. Yeah.
15. Wow.
15 or 16.
It might have been 16. Something like that. But we had 50 or 60 Warriors executives here, and it was the end of the year thank you celebration dinner for advertisers. And we got a chance to flex our muscle and show everybody a good time inside the organization. And that was the rootstock of us opening up a restaurant at the new Chase Center. And so it's all because of you, my friend. And I can't thank you enough.
Well, that's very generous. I'm not sure that's exactly true. It's all because of me, but
we definitely opened the door. That's for sure. You definitely.
Well, that's good. I remember that conversation, and I did always want to elevate the food experience because I thought the fans deserved it, which is really what I always focus on, and what Paul always focused on with customers, right? Paul, is that when you build experiences, my feeling always is that it is your responsibility to deliver what they deserve to experience. And obviously that's what you do, In fact, I wanted to ask you, and this is just a quick Warriors question, because I heard a rumor that your wife is related to someone who helped create one of the slogans for the Warriors, a good time out.
Yes. So Larry Moss used to work for, I can't remember the name of the advertising agency up in Sacramento, but they were hired by the Warriors to create, I guess this must have been the 90s or early 2000s or something like that.
Late 99, 2000. Yeah.
He created the slogan. It's and I always mess it up, and he always corrects me when I say this. It's a good timeout, or it's a fun timeout. What was the slogan?
It's a good timeout.
It's
because you got to remember, the Warriors were pretty depressing there. 48 minutes of regulation play was painful. So the focus at that point was on non-basketball experience.
Well,
Trust me, I'm a Knicks fan.
Amazing journey it's been, because I've been a basketball fan my whole life, and I spent 15 years in New York City as a huge Knicks fan, and then kind of moving out to and obviously there's Celebrity Row at the Knicks game, and so that was always kind of the experience. And then moving to Northern California back when we got here in 2007, and this is when the Warriors didn't really have much of a team, and I think their biggest sponsor was a grocery store and a barbecue sauce. Right? But now look at us, right? World champions, and right in the middle of one of the golden eras of basketball. And I apologize, my dog is barking in the background.
Okay. No, that's all right.
Welcome in real life.
Yeah, right.
Give him the link.
what an amazing era to be a part of, and we're just so thrilled to, to have our little corner of the experience and be at the arena and, and celebrate the players when they come in and just be a part of that success story.
Yeah, you are. You're Miller and Lux is an anchor in that area in Thrive City outside Chase. It was one of the primary things that we knew we needed was a restaurant that was going to bring people to the destination to create maybe a sense of discovery after they eat or before they eat. And I have yet to go there, but I have talked to many people who have absolutely loved it. So congratulations on that.
Well,
it's fantastic.
Thank you very much. And knock on wood, it hasn't been announced yet, but we're on the short list for a Michelin star. September. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it's okay too. But it's just nice to be recognized inside the Michelin establishment. So we got a really, really nice review right now. It reads like a 1-star, but if we don't get it, I'm not going to get my feelings hurt because it's nice to be noticed.
Viewers, you heard it first on EWPK.
Right? but we're walking the walk and talking the talk as if we kind of live in that world anyway. So that I think that's how you get it. You just live, you work as if you have one. And so, we just wanted to create like a best in category, best in class place that people just love and they love for years to come.
Yeah.
And that's our root stock, even with Wayfair Tavern, our flagship restaurant in the financial district. We've been there for 12 years, making more money now than we've ever made. Pandemic aside, we had 2 kind of crazy years that we almost didn't make it through, but we did. Yeah. And now we're kind of back up to those pre 2018, 2019 numbers again. And it's just wonderful. So we're on the other side of all of it, taking it one step at a time, but we survived.
Boy, that was rough though.
What
that
about
was rough. Go ahead,
I mean,
Paul.
I'm sadly a long-suffering Knicks fan still, even though the Warriors are my number 2 without any question, right? And Kenny actually, when I originally met him, he actually brought the trophy over for people. We were at a conference called SEAT, Sports Entertainment Alliance and Technology, and we're both on the executive board. And he brings the trophy over for people to get pictures with. And as much as I rooted for the Warriors to win, I couldn't stand with the trophy because I'm too diehard with the Knicks still, and they're a horrible team with a horrible ownership. But you kind of stick with it. Just in my case, just because I'm probably stupid at this point. But maybe we'll get Donovan Miller. We'll see. But one of the things I got to tell you before I get to my question, one other fan story that I got this morning. And you actually have a very interesting kind of profile inside the whole tech world. You really do. It's very strong. So I was talking to a very senior journalist at Tech Target, which is a very large, business tech-focused business publication. And he was interviewing me for something that Oracle had done. And I mentioned you, and he said, "Oh my God," his name is Don Fluckinger, and he's a straightforward dude. I mean, it's just like he says what he thinks. So he said, "Oh my God," he goes, "Tell him I make his cranberry sauce, which is kind of a sauce gel, every Thanksgiving, and it's so popular that I package it and give it to people for Christmas." So, I'm just suggesting there's another new line of business for you, which is packaging your cranberry sauce.
That's one of the wonderful things about being here in the Bay Area. Our celebrities here and the greater San Francisco area are tech executives and are brilliant entrepreneurs who are creating the next new wave of economy and economic opportunities and next new apps and next new big ideas and a lot of different sectors and subsectors. And we get a chance to interact with a lot of them at the restaurant because we're just friends. And so a lot of those people that have created the amazing apps over the years, like they're personal friends of mine, and it's just nice to be a part of that tech culture. I started a tech company once. We kind of ran out of money, so we were definitely the opposite of a unicorn, but we got a chance to go through that anyway, and still kind of working on really fun ideas. I think there's poetry and failure. Sometimes you kind of learn a lot about what's going on. I love where we live. I love the business acumen. I love the access. I love the entrepreneurial spirit. I love the fall forward type of mentality of you can't fail, you can only just get better at what you're doing type of success stories that we hear on a regular basis. And it's so inspiring just kind of be around that much, machismo on a regular basis that you can just do it. Whatever you want to dream up, you can just do. And so there's always been that spirit here in the Bay Area, and it continues today.
But you capture it too, which like I this is a while ago, but I ate at the Wayfair Tavern, which I loved. This is a few years. But the interesting thing that caught my eye even there, aside from the food, was just the ambiance of the place, right? You just pick it right up. I mean, it's not like you're struggling to find a feeling about it. You walk in, you're immediately engaged just by the nature of the way the place is set up, the personalities of the people who are staff of the restaurant, and so on and so forth, and then of course the quality of food. How do you actually, when you're thinking about that, how do you actually even think about that? I mean, how do you say, okay, ambiance, here's the kind of things I'm thinking about, or how does that work?
Well, there's 3 cornerstones to a great restaurant. That's ambiance, food, and experience, and all 3 of them have to be incredible. There could be no weak point in any one of those 3 storylines. And so ambiance, it starts with a concept, right? You think through, okay, Wayfair Tavern, it's a tavern. So if you kind of close your eyes and dream up what that movie looks like in your head, then you start with an emotion board. You start pulling down, bits and pieces and pictures and experiences and that kind of stuff. And I usually design restaurants off of my iPhone because I usually take pictures of like subtle details. If I go to, we're going to Paris in about 10 days, and I plan on taking pictures of all kinds of like things, big and small, coffee cups and coffee cups and spoons and service plates and expediting windows and table configurations. So I have like really kind of wacky little sub buckets of photography and photo files. And so when we go to put together an ambiance, like we'll think through what the experience looks and feels like. And usually we start with a date, right? So Wayfair Tavern's 1895 actually, 1895. And so, it's, we want to create a movie set of, a tavern that maybe survived the earthquake, and a room where San Franciscans of distinction have been coming for over 100 years. And we really built a movie set. Like I bought a tobacco barn in Kentucky and had it broken down plank for plank and shipped to California, and had it milled as our flooring because you can't fake 100-year-old floor. I think that
holy
that
cow.
kind of really important. And it wasn't necessarily expensive. It was just sort of unique, right? It was just it was laborious, but it wasn't expensive, right? It was kind of hard to get, but it didn't cost any more than having sort of like a fake engineered floor. So we decided that we were gonna just kind of go there, and we really wanted to build some place that had a very, very special feeling. So Wayfair Tavern specifically used to be a restaurant called Rubicon, if you guys remember that, and that was like one of the most storybooked.
It was.
Just like exceptional restaurant in San Francisco that all kinds of amazing chefs had come through. Tracy Desjardins, Chris Cosentino, Elizabeth Faulkner, like all these amazing chefs had their flag in the ground and that property for a while. So I met the owners here in Mill Valley, and they were like, "Oh, you're that guy on television." And I'm like, "Yeah, hey, nice to meet you." And they're like, "Yeah, we got this space in the financial district. It used to be Rubicon. Are you interested in go take a look at it?" And I was trying to put my jaw back. I'm like, "Oh, what?" And I was trying to have not show too much of a poker face, but or have more of a poker face, and to go take a look at the restaurant, and that was in 2008, during the economic recession. And you couldn't get a tuna fish sandwich out of anybody, much less raise enough money to open up a restaurant because nobody had anything. And so we really want to think through. Obviously, Rubicon was a white tablecloth restaurant, serving like really super fine dining food, and it didn't feel like the right time or the right location to reintroduce that one more time. Plus, I just think it would be disrespectful to Rubicon to try to redo Rubicon. So we decided to go a whole different direction. And what I really found inspiration out of, and it's all those really tiny details that matter, is the back wall of the room is made up of reclaimed bricks from the San Francisco earthquake in 1906. They're called clinkers. Right? So if you look at the back wall, it's made up of remnants of other buildings that were demolished in the earthquake, because that's how they started to rebuild and gather building materials to rebuild buildings was just basically foraging what was left over and what fell in the city. So if you look at the whole space, there's a level of like been there, done that. There's a level of history and that back wall that to me was like enough to go, okay, there's a different story here to tell.
Yeah.
And it's really not about what's happening now, it's about what happened then. And to create like this really beautiful old tavern that I thought felt really incredibly interesting. So I found the word Wayfair in a book called Bohemian San Francisco. It was written in 1904 before the earthquake, and it was about cafe society in San Francisco.
Yeah.
They refer to wayfarers as sort of society or cafe culture that knew, that had recognition in San Francisco or New York or knew about society in Paris. They just happened to live in San Francisco, and they were referred to as wayfarers. So I thought Wayfair Tavern felt kind of groovy. And as we kind of built this market position where it's, where CEOs come slum it, and, it's about burgers in Bordeaux. And this place kind of felt really kind of fun. And we're the, I think we're either the third or fourth largest grossing restaurant in San Francisco.
Oh,
and people just love us. And my name's on the menu. My name's on the front door. I don't believe in that, like that kind of cult of personality in the chef world. Either it's my restaurant or you don't. And if you don't, cool. If you do, great. But it's not really about me. It's about my ideas. And I think they should be strong enough to live by themselves and to not have to, have me carry the weight of all this kind of stuff. So, I mean, from an ID standpoint, I think these ideas should be strong enough by themselves. So Wayfair Tavern was born. And so that's kind of loosely a model of how we build a restaurant from the ground up. It's just basically like, okay, there's a place, there's a date. And then let's just build a movie set to kind of tell a story that doesn't really exist today. And so that was Wayfair Tavern. And when we did Miller and Lux, we chose 1955 as a design template, right? So we went mid-century. And we there's one of my favorite restaurant stories is a place called Chasen's in San Francisco and Los Angeles.
I know Chasen's in LA. Yeah.
So it was it opened in the 1930s, closed in the 90s. It was around for about 70, 80 years, and it was just the epicenter of the entertainment industry for a very, very long time. And so many amazing stories with movie stars and executives and politicians and all kinds of crazy people coming through. That felt like, okay, that was kind of a cool place. And the interesting thing about the design of that, it was all booths. So I wanted an entire restaurant that was about the booth experience, not necessarily loose tables in the middle of a restaurant.
Right.
So we built this entire every table is a power table. So that's kind of where we started from. And then so the subject matter, we wanted to go something that was kind of elevated, but right across the plate. So we went with steak, right? So let's do a steak restaurant. And then, and I love challenges like that because I'm an American chef. So we produce like great American concepts, but it's best in category, best in class, right? So it's the best steak experience you ever had. It's best tavern experience that exists.
Yeah.
Right? So we just choose these like simple, iconic thoughts, and more important than that, the emotion behind those thoughts.
Yeah.
And we just try to create not only just a great meal, but really a great like three-pronged experience that's about the ambiance, the food, and the service. That's all got to be super top quality. Because I think when you get good at hospitality, it's actually fun.
Yeah.
And so we get a chance to kind of open up our restaurants every night. We throw a party, and we get a chance to just really celebrate San Francisco
and bring joy to people. I mean, that's the thing is that and this is what I love about what you do is that that experiences don't just happen. It's a very deliberate process. Like you bringing in materials from somewhere else, you thinking through the story, you make fans feel like they're cast members in this story, right? That they're a part of this story. This is the same thing I talk to brands about all the time, and Paul, you do too. Like, how do you market your brand? Well, the more that you can make your story their story, the better you're going to be. The emotional connection. Peter Guber, who Tyler, is a good friend of mine, a big producer down in LA and owns a bunch of the Warriors, the Dodgers.
I've heard so many Shawshank Redemption stories. I can't even tell you.
Oh, Shawshank Redemption.
Every meeting there's a Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah.
Every meeting.
Yeah, he's quite a storyteller. And but he used to always say heart first, wallet second, and that's how I ran marketing for the Warriors.
Yeah.
And that I think is really like so evident in the things that you do, and not just your restaurants, but if you look at, I think even going back to the food truck stuff that you did. In fact, I think there's a good case to be made that you were instrumental in creating the food truck movement. Right? I mean, it's a, what is it, like a $1.2 billion market cap now, going from like what was considered, remember, Paul, the like roach coaches?
Oh, yeah.
These, like service things on construction.
Greasy everything.
Greasy everything to something that is so spectacular. And I really think, like you do with your stories, don't you think, Tyler, you brought that into the consciousness of the world?
Well, you're right. It's a 1-point-something billion dollar market cap, but it's wildly segmented, right? Because it's
right.
It's like it's $100 at a time.
Yeah,
that means like there's a lot of food trucks. So right now there's over 47,000 active food trucks in America right now, and although we didn't invent it, we certainly gassed it. There's just no doubt about it, right? So season 15 of the Great Food Truck Race, the finale of season 15 is actually this Sunday. Coming up at 8 Central on Food Network. And I really love that show. It's a rock and roll business show where we prove that you don't need 4 walls to really make a difference, because 4 wheels are just as good. And if you put your head down, you can put 6 figures a year in your pocket as a restaurateur. And it's not easy, but restaurants aren't easy. And in a lot of ways, like I love the disruption of the market. I love how, like, somebody sent me a notification. I can't remember what city is it? Somewhere in like New Jersey or Long Island or something like that. I have to go look at one more time. I can't remember. But the city council is proposing a block on food trucks in a certain business zone. And so this is an ongoing battle, and the storyline is pretty common. But how disruptive food trucks can be to an industry. Listen, if your burritos like are endangering my restaurant, I need to look at my heart to determine why that's a threat to me, right? Because the way I think about that, I think rising tides float all boats, right? I think that if you get a business district where food trucks and restaurants kind of exist in one big area, that means more people kind of walking around, right? And I think that culture is amazing. So in a lot of ways, we've turned the lights on in this Johnny Appleseed kind of way, where we've out of 15 seasons, we've had 9 winners and runners up to go open very successful brick and mortar concepts. And I think that's a really high hit rate, and so out of what we've done, we've shown that there's so much can be possible. Like, listen, I'm famous. Raising $5 million for a restaurant's hard. I'm famous.
Yeah, right.
It's hard to do. And there's still no, a guaranteed success in any of it. I've opened up restaurants. I've closed a few, right? It's a very humbling experience, right? But it's real. It happens, right? And so you got to make sure you're very, very particular about, your not only your location, but your business model and why you're doing it, right? And so with the food trucks, it's a really nice kind of benign, safe spot to flex your muscle as a restaurateur and as a chef, to go open up something that could really be a big hit one day. Build up a social media following, really, get some good consumer feedback, really kind of nail it, show up at the farmer's market, show up at the ball game, show up at the business district during the middle of the week, and just kind of be there. And when you're ready to back that into a brick and mortar experience, you've already got some there from, a business standpoint to say, listen, I'm worth the risk.
Actually, to your point,
and I'm gonna move around a little bit because I think the sun is creeping up on my back here.
Okay.
No problem. So there you go.
So on Monday, I'm heading off to, which is basically the day this drops. I'm heading off to an analyst event, and at that event, usually at an analyst event, they put us in a great restaurant or something like that. Instead, there's I forget the exact number, 3 or 4 food trucks that they're bringing in for the analysts. And it's just like
an analyst event. That's amazing.
Which is, that's what it's just, become kind of inculcated in the culture at this point. You know, it's just people.
There's one of the
do it.
unicorns that we talk about in the tech world right behind me. If you guys can see that, see that over my shoulder here?
Yeah, I see it.
Got the real one.
Well,
Yeah,
it's a unicorn.
you are. Yeah, you have a unicorn. You know,
I have a unicorn.
Tyler.
Right, my shoulder. There you go. Boom.
Hi, Tyler. Right there.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
You've done so much. I mean, when just even I learned so much when I was looking back on everything. I'm just curious. Like there are producers that say, God, or actors that say, I wish I had acted in that show, or I wish I had tried out for that. Are there things when you look back that you're like, God, if I wish I could have done that, or things that might have been opportunities that you decided not to do? I mean, I think it's fascinating what you say about failure, right? I mean, I think that's your spirit around failure, I think is empowering, and especially for young chefs or young people who are trying to find their way, that's pretty important.
Yeah, and I take a lot of inspiration from the Stoics about the obstacle is a path, and so there is no better life lesson than just do it and figure it out on the way, right? Because if you really believe in what you're doing, I think you got to do your homework, right? I think you got to come up with a really good use case scenario for your business. I think you got to have really strong pro forma, and you got to have a really good why you're doing it, and you have to prove this is going to be a success as much as you possibly can, because at the end of the day, when you launch a business, everybody's taking a guess, from Tesla to Miller and Lux, all taking a guess, right? That you think there's a market position for this particular idea and concept, and now is the right time for this on some level. So but to answer your question, I don't know. I mean, we've had a lot of. I'll tell you one big fish that got away. I'll tell you a quick story. So so Top Chef, the show.
Yeah.
Right. So Tom Colicchio's position on that show was mine, and I turned it down.
Oh,
wow.
Right. So, and let me tell you why. So Magical
why?
Elves. Yeah, I'll tell you why. It was just so long ago, and just because the show wasn't really anything. And so Magical Elves, which is a production company that produces the show and for television, and I did 3 screen tests with them, and they really liked my chemistry, and we thought, okay, this is gonna be great. They made me an offer for the show, and it was the same summer I had rented a house in Mexico. Right. So I rented this house for the summer. It was $50,000 for the summer. Right. And we were there for I think 2.5 months. And we were just going to be there for a long time. And we had friends coming down, it's like this, these 4 people coming down this week. And there was going to be 25 people, disrupted from their summer experiences. If I declined it and turned the house down and went to Los Angeles and shot the show. And because I said, okay, I really love this. When are we shooting it? And they said next week in LA. I'm like, dude, I just rented this house. I couldn't get my money back. And I'm like, well, how much are they offering for the show? And they said $2,500 an episode. I'm like, I'm not going to lose $50,000 for, a 6-episode pickup for, to make 20 grand. So I turned the show down. But then they went to the next down the list and gave it to Tom Colicchio, and obviously, it was the right decision for the show because he did such a good job with it. But there's been a couple of big fish that have gotten away over the years. I don't know if I really regret anything, right? Because I think in a lot of ways we all are the bouillabaisse of our experience.
Yeah.
Right?
That's
for better or for worse.
Right.
So the successes all kind of add up, and so do the failures, because I think that's part of your flavor profile, your bone marrow, your scar tissue, all these things kind of make you, right?
Yeah.
So I think without that unique experiences of L's and W's, I think you would just be a different person. So I don't know if there's anything I ever really regret. I think there's definitely I think situational experiences. I think we could have all handled things differently. Being more prepared, because I don't believe in failure, right? I believe that it's either you're prepared for the opportunity when it comes your way, or you're not prepared for the opportunity. And that's just the way it is. There's no such thing as luck. no such thing as luck, right? So it's opportunity meets preparation. Either you're prepared or you're not, right? And so I think in, some of the other things that have come along my way, I could have been more prepared for, or I could have had, more organization or more, more consumer awareness or more self-awareness or whatever it's going to be. But other than that, I'm at the apex of my genre. It's my 26th year on television with Food Network. I've written 16 cookbooks. We're about to get a new cookbook deal to write a Miller and Lux cookbook on steak, which is going to be really exciting. And I love exactly where we are right now. I wake up really happy and really enthusiastic every day. I had 2 really interesting phone calls this morning on new ideas that popped up 3 weeks ago that are going to be really interesting new things that didn't know were going to be available until they did, right? And see these opportunities kind of rolling every day. And so no 2 years are the same, which I think is kind of like nerve-wracking for some, but really exciting for others. And I think in a lot of ways, like when you put yourself in a good position to accept the universe for what it is, then you just have to trust the universe. The universe will always take care of you. And it always does, right? Like God gives you exactly what you need, exactly when you need it, and not a second sooner. So that's what you have to be patient for, is when that happens, right? So you can't get nervous or crazy if deals aren't happening as fast as you want them to, or if things aren't exactly happening the way you want them to work out. They're going to work out if you're prepared for the opportunity. Right. If you're not, then that's a self-awareness thing. You need to check yourself, right? But if you are, then just relax and fucking enjoy the ride.
Well, this is why I think, that, and again, I want to bring this up. We had talked about it a little bit earlier before the show, is the type of heart that you have and spirit that you have to bring, especially when people are in challenging situations like the wildfires in 2017, that really ripped through many people's lives, destroyed homes, and I think there were 45 lives that were lost. I just wanted you to share kind of what you created a short show called Uncrushable, right?
Yeah.
For them, I want to I just want to hear how that happened, and then we have one more question, and we can wrap up. But I think it's really important that the viewers hear this and get an opportunity to go look at it on YouTube.
Well, thank you. So it's actually, there's the trailer is on YouTube. So that's definitely sort of a short clip of the movie. I think the trailer is like 7 minutes or so, but the movie is 77 minutes. So it's a full length, major motion picture, and so we got a chance to. So the state of California in 2017 called, and I've been on a couple of Visit California commercials.
This is appropriate. How appropriate is that?
Yeah, fire
Did you create that experience?
No, timed it out beautifully. So finger crossed, it's nothing. So those things, especially this time of year, everybody gets.
I know. I get nervous. I know.
Right, but so I've been on a couple of like Visit California commercials before, maybe I think 3 of them, and so I've got pretty good relationship with that branch of the marketing arm of the state of California, and so when the fires broke out in 2017, and they wanted to sort of shift their marketing position from an outward message to an inward message, because it was such a devastating visual impact of what the news was portraying California as the state on fire.
Yeah.
Right. And so they want to counteract that with a very powerful message about the heart and soul of the people of the state of California. So they said, like, can we do a big dinner? Can we do like one huge like dinner thing? So we said, yeah, of course we can. So we partnered with a few different folks here in Northern California to kind of put together what would be like this, like this 5.5 football field long, dinner table that in an event that we called One Big Table, right on the county line in between Napa and Sonoma, as an event to bring people together to say thank you to first responders. So that was sort of like the mission. And then we decided to shoot a film around the creation of that dinner and what happened in the fire, the first person perspective, interviewing people, firefighters and locals and school teachers and a lot of people that had a lot to do with it, their first person perspective on what was a terrorizing, terrible event. And no one knew that was really going to be the climate tipping point where it became an annual thing. It started in 2017 because after that, there wasn't a fire that size since the 1960s.
Yeah, right.
And after 2017, the one in 18 was bigger, the one in 19 was bigger, the one in 2020
scary.
And it went from a fire to a gigafire, right?
Yeah.
So when 1 million acres burned, right? And then with two big fires join at the same time. So climate change became real in 2017, and we got a chance to capture that. And Gavin Newsom, who was lieutenant governor at the time, and Mark Benioff, who was also in the movie, and Lars Ulrich, the drummer from Metallica, he was in it. So it really got a chance to showcase a lot of people who live in the Bay Area and got a chance to talk about the people and the culture and how a group and a community wraps its arms around each other in an emergency situation and what that was, right? So if you take fire out and you replace it with hurricane, or you take
that's what I was going to say.
It's a very similar situation that happens to a lot of people here in America every year. And so it was an amazing movie. It's my first directorial debut. I've been on television for 26 years, so I know a little something about television production. So it was kind of an easy muscle to flex on our end to be able to kind of pull this team together to shoot this whole thing. I mean, I've got a really nice Rolodex of Emmy Award winning cinematographers who've been shooting television for a long time. So it was an easy get to kind of pull everybody together to shoot the movie.
Yeah,
but it was a very, very special opportunity for us to tell a great story. And that was the rootstock of our production company that's been around since 2017, since that film. So now we have a full stock production company that shoots a lot of great content for a lot of big partners, and it came out of that opportunity. So yeah, it was really kind of a fun thing to get to go do. It was a really really sad story to tell. But the end of the movie, I think, is more important about it's about the recovery efforts. It's about the community recognizing how fragile our love for one another really is, and how much we have to wrap our arms around each other if these situations do happen, and they do.
I mean, all we have is love at the end, right? I mean, it's just incredible. And I mean, Tyler, this is exactly why I just wanted everyone to know this. Your impact goes far beyond just thinking about how to create a great restaurant. It's really much bigger than that. So,
and that comes across. You're amazing. You really are. I mean, I look this first day. No, seriously.
Listen,
I'm a very blunt New Yorker, man. And
thank you.
The reality.
I try to be as genuine as I possibly can. Go ahead. No, sorry, man. Go ahead, brother.
No, what I'm saying is that you really are. The first day I'm meeting you, and let's say your humaneness comes across like palpable, and I appreciate that a lot because again. I'm not a mean person. If I didn't like you, I just wouldn't say anything. But, but at the same time, you really are just a genuinely good human being. Now, we do have, by the way, one last question, which is, what is your favorite beverage of choice, alcohol? Well, category first. Beverage category of choice, alcoholic or non. It could be either. And then within that, once you tell us the category, 2 or 3 of those drinks that you would recommend, like given your own taste.
Yeah.
Right.
Evening drink. Right. Well, I think my beverage of choice is probably espresso. I'd probably drink that more than anything else.
Okay.
Equator coffee locally, it's roasted in San Anselmo. That's just the best. I just think it's the best. And California is really having this like golden era of coffee roasters that are really kind of figuring out not what a dark roast is, because I think you really kind of pick up bitter notes and the beans that I think used to be trendy, sort of like what they call a dark French roast. Now a medium roast with that's just enough to kind of extract the oils and bring the oils to the surface of the bean. So when you kind of crush it and grind it and put it through a hot pressure where you kind of get that beautiful crema, you're getting this golden, luscious, really kind of soft thing. And also you kind of develop like blueberry bombs and the flavor profile, which is just amazing.
Wow.
So that like you get these like honey golden notes. And anyway, Equator, and I apologize. Hey, baby doll, do you mind? Toto? Yeah. Sorry, my lovely wife is hosing off the chairs. We have an event.
That's okay.
And
I see.
my dog. I'm just on it. Hey, babe, Toto. Thank you, kid. I appreciate it. Thanks. Sorry. We're having 60 people over for a baby shower on Sunday.
Wow.
And my dog loves to chase the hose. So that's what it was. Thank you, baby. I appreciate it. Thanks. Real life. It's really good.
Yeah.
But I think probably espresso is probably my number one thing. And then after that, like I've been a prosumer hobbyist in the winemaking world for, a decade or more. I've made, I don't know, probably 6 or 7 vintages of wine. I've scored the 90s a couple of times. And
Really? So what's the name of your what's the name of your vintage? I mean, your vineyard.
Well, we have a wine brand, not a winery per se. So, and then
Okay.
we've done it under a couple of different names. Like so Tyler Florence obviously is one of the names that we've used in the past, and then blending sessions. It was kind of a fun project we did, and then we had a brand called California Crush. They did really, really well at Target for a couple of years, and now we're doing a private label blend that's a Miller and Lux line, which is really exciting. An Oakville Cabernet Sauvignon, and we're also doing a really wonderful, Russian River Chardonnay, which has like a Burgundian vibe to it, which I think is really nice.
Yeah.
You kind of get that kind of like like toasted hay barnyard, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Really kind of fun funk, which is really nice. So I really, really love and appreciate the artistry that kind of goes into sculpting wine. I think it's kind of fun. We're doing a new cocktail list at Miller and Lux right now. So again, chance to work with our mixologist. I think that's always a good time. Making great cocktails the world's never seen before. It's always fun. That's like familiar.
One of my things.
Yeah, me too. I love crafting cocktails and kind of figuring out what that execution looks and feels like, because I think that's a really, really part of the important part of the dining experience of the restaurant. Which is great too. So,
but if you were to go up to the bar,
espresso, wine, and then cocktails, I think in that order.
And if you were to belly up to the bar, you go to Miller and Lux, and you were going to get a cocktail, just out of curiosity, what naturally would
what's your go-to?
I think like wines by the glass. I always think is probably my first thing that I want to take.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Because
great.
I'm just like you get a great chance to drink an Austrian Gewürztraminer. You get a chance to drink a really nice New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc, a really nice California Chardonnay, or whatever it is. So like to me, like that's what before a meal. That's probably, I like cocktails after dinner. You know what I mean? I like wrapping up dinner with a cocktail.
Fascinating. Okay.
Are you a Manhattan person?
That's because it usually just keeps going up and up and up. So I usually start slow. You know what I mean? I'll have a Chardonnay with my pinky out and slowly ramp up. Yeah, I don't start dinner with two men.
That's an experience.
2 martinis.
So are you a Manhattan person by any chance?
I do love a good Manhattan. I do. I love it a lot, and I love. I really, really love whiskeys. I really love bourbons, and I really love like dark rums too. Like Mount Gay rum from Barbados.
Yeah.
1776, like that. That's just such. It's what I call pirate bourbon, right? Instead of corn, it's made from sugar. Yeah. But it's so delicious. It's all sugar cane. So good.
Molasses and sugar cane.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. Yeah. So delicious. So I love a lot of that stuff. That's great.
I'll tell you one last thing on the Manhattan side. I'm a diehard Manhattan. That's my go-to drink. It's my test drink. I test bars with a Manhattan, and it's always a rye Manhattan. And the bars that get immediately eliminated as having a second drink or ever me asking for a drink again are the ones when I say rye Manhattan, they go, "You mean like Seagram's?" And that's immediately out.
Right.
See you later. Right. Canadian whiskey is not the same thing. And I'm like a real purist. And so rye bourbon. I'm a huge Irish whiskey fan too. Huge. I'm actually good friends with the distiller, the master distiller at Teeling, and he's in Dublin, and that Teeling has done this remarkable line of Irish whiskeys. A lot not exported here, but there's enough here to make it worth it. And then the other thing, but I'll tell you what, I'm coming next time I come to San Francisco. I am going to make a reservation. I'm going to show up at your restaurant in Monroe. I'm going to be there, and I'm going to ask for rye Manhattan first, and see what happens.
Knock out.
I know I'll get.
So like the balance has got to be so impeccable, right?
Yes.
I mean, speak for Muth, it's got to be just so impeccably balanced, right? And that's what I really love about it. Because right now we're doing a spiced rum Manhattan, which is really nice, right? So which we're gonna barrel age. We're gonna make the spiced rum and then barrel age the spiced rum.
Wow.
And that's pour it on the rocks over a large cube. With seasonal cherries that we're going to compress with bitters and kind of throw that on top, which is going to be really nice.
Oh my God.
Definitely.
No, it's great. I love making cocktails. So we're doing this one called the Mezcal Plum, which is really nice. You like Mezcal?
Yes.
You.
Great deal.
Good. Yeah, so we're doing this like really nice Mezcal cocktail that's Mezcal, yellow chartreuse, plum simple syrup, plum powder, which kind of intensifies the plum experience, and an egg white, and you shake it so it's got like a really beautiful frothy head on top of it.
Oh my God.
No, it's sick. And then there's a stencil that goes over top of it that has the word plum in script, and then plum powder gets dusted over top of that. So when you lift it up, it says plum on top of it, and you kind of drink it. And it's like really ghosty, smoky, fantastic kind of like drink cocktail. That's so easy to slam back. And then we're doing another cocktail, which is kind of like a margarita, but it's made with Blanco tequila, watermelon juice, hibiscus simple syrup, which is really great, and basil.
Yep.
So shaking those together, so it's kind of like a margarita. We're trying to figure out what the name of that is, but it's basically a watermelon margarita with hibiscus simple syrup, which is nice.
Oh my God.
What the drinks are super fun. There's one that you're gonna dig this. Because I think it's an opportunity to, in a very classy way, be avant-garde. I hate cheesy drinks. I hate cheesy drinks.
I'm with you. Totally
I don't
with you.
really like spicy margaritas. I think they're dumb. I don't want to drink chili. It's like it's heartburn. It's so gross.
Yeah, right.
I don't like cheesy drinks, right?
Yeah.
But we're doing this kind of fun thing where you can make an alcohol wash with fat, right? So you can pour like vodka over top of blue cheese, right? And it's basically washing blue cheese with vodka, right? But we're doing this kind of fun thing with avocados, right? So we're making like an avocado vodka wash. So you take avocados, you peel them, put them in a bucket, pour pour vodka over top of that. Have you guys seen pineapple infused vodka?
Yeah.
At a bar?
Sure.
You know what I'm talking about? We're doing that with avocado.
Oh my God.
Which is really kind of nice. So it's washing the fat off washing the fat off the top of the avocado and kind of giving it sort of a more of a viscous texture to it. And that beautiful nutty finish from avocado and a slight green tinge to the vodka itself, which is beautiful. So we're making a drink. It's TBD, but it almost kind of tastes like a salad, right? So it's avocado vodka. Dig this: avocado vodka, tomato water, right? Muddled with cucumber and fresh herbs.
That is drinking a salad. It's not like drinking a salad.
And then balanced out with avocado simple syrup. So we're doing the same thing with avocado, simple syrup, and vodka. And then you shake it.
So when you're making an avocado simple syrup, are you boiling avocado in? I mean, how are you making?
Yeah, two to one water to sugar, right?
Right.
And then bring it up to a simmer so it dissolves the sugar. A little bit of lemon juice from the city standpoint, and you pour the hot simple syrup over top of avocado. So you're not boiling avocado.
Okay.
But you have to put it over hot to get the full extraction out of that. And again, it's like a super nutty, really interesting sort of like kind of green tinge to it. So it's avocado vodka, avocado simple syrup, tomato water, muddled with herbs and cucumber. Whoosh.
I'm hungry now. I'm hungry and thirsty.
Over ice, so you let the ice kind of beat everything up, right? And then it gets double strained.
Miller and Lux.
Really creamy.
I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there. I'm coming to Dreamforce So I'm going to literally make reservations after we're done with this now, and
Yeah.
for when I get there, and bring a party with me. I am
Can't wait
telling
to have
you,
you.
and
We
I'm
take
going
our
to spend
drinks
time.
seriously, 'cause I just think it's just kind of fun. Like, I'm not a
Well,
big drinker, to be honest with you, but I really
No,
like
I'm not either.
I like
But
making
you drink
stuff
well.
tasted.
You
Yeah,
drink well.
exactly.
You
Better
don't,
be good.
right? Yeah,
Yeah, I
I'm
don't
just
drink
saying.
a lot.
Look, I'll tell you what. If you ever happen to be here, I have 625 bottles of spirits in my basement, and I'm not a big drinker. You know John Crin by any chance? He does is a restaurant here called Clarity. It's won a bunch of awards. Another one here called Trummers, and it's Stefan Trummer, who's an Austrian award-winning
Yeah.
mixologist. So both of them have been over here, and John Crim was trying to get me to will my bar to him. Right. I have so many. I don't drink much though. Like I drink a drink a week, maybe.
I know.
And only 2 ounces, right? That's it. But I drink well and I think about it and
Yeah.
I'm learning about it. So what you just did for me personally, solid gold. I mean, just in terms of thinking even. And I am definitely coming to Miller and Lux. And the other thing, I now know I now know my like internal profile is really a flavor profile. So I'm going to start calling my own internal behavior, thinking about my behavior as my flavor profile.
That's your flavor. Yeah, exactly. Who are you as a person? You know,
Yeah,
I
That's
think
right.
really,
My
really,
flavor.
really important.
I have to say, I've never heard it called a flavor profile before, though. But I do. I like that. I like the analogy, so I'm sticking with it. And thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Very
Yeah,
much.
thank you. Oh my
Well,
gosh.
Tyler, it has been, I mean, we could talk for hours.
Yes.
And it's just been
We
incredible.
could. I think my wife wants to get the backyard
I was
back.
going to say, can you thank Tolan for sharing you today? I know you have a lot of things going on, but appreciate the time. It was wonderful. And we look forward to the next time. And we'll see you at Miller and Lux. Okay.
See you guys soon. Listen, Kenny Paul, it was an absolute pleasure being on with you today. Thank you so much.
It was
and I appreciate
an
your time
honor.
to get to the work, as always.
All right,
You're
Tyler.
an
take
amazing
care.
person. Thank you, Tyler.
Thank you. I
Take
appreciate
care.
it.
Okay.
Take care.
Bye.
Have a great weekend.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
You too. Have a good party. Bye. Wow. That was genuinely amazing.
Unbelievable.
Well, I guess that was like an amazing way to end the last segment on a pilot, I have to say.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
that interview. Off the chart.
he's a whirlwind. He leaves a wake, he's always that energetic, always that positive, always that intentional. And he just brings you in. He pulls you into the stories and that's I think what he's always done his whole career, and it's phenomenal.
Well, you know what? I guess with that, we probably got to go over to Studio C and then close out the show.
Right. I think
All
so.
right.
Well, folks, that's it. I'm Kenny.
I'm Paul. See you guys next time.
This has been a Playaz Productions Network digital broadcast.